I welcome you all to the next video tutorial of the pharmaceutical microbiology. So in this video tutorial we are going to see some of the important contents of the unit number 3, that is the study of the morphology, classification, replication and the production, of course the cultivation of the fungi and viruses. As we have completed some of the basic introduction of this topic, that is the unit number 3, this topic, in the unit number 1 also, when we have completed the introduction to prokaryotes and eukaryotes. So I hope you have now a bit idea about the viruses and the fungi. So let's start. So we will start with the virus. The viruses are the smallest known infective agents and perhaps the simplest form of life. And even during this period of the COVID, we all are the sufferers of this virus, that is the novel coronavirus 2019. So viruses do not possess cellular organization and they do not fall strictly into the category of the unicellular organism. Yes, they do have a cellular organization. They contain mostly only one type of nucleic acid, either DNA or RNA. And I hope you all know what is the genetic material present in this coronavirus. Yes, RNA. So they are obligate intracellular parasites. This is important. They lack the enzymes necessary for the protein and nucleic acid synthesis, and they are dependent for the replication on the machinery of the host cell. This is very important. So they hamper host cell very badly or very adversely. Yes, they are unaffected by the antibiotics. Antibiotics are only intended for the bacterial infection. Antibiotics have no effect, or you can say very minute effect on the viruses. Although for the coronaviruses we are giving some of the antibiotics like azithromycin, but they are not such efficacious enough to combat this virus. So we have to develop some concrete vaccine or the antiviral drugs for that. No doubt we are using remdesivir or other drugs, but they are still not so efficacious enough to combat this virus. Let's see a brief difference between the viruses and the bacteria. So the structure of virus is the ultra microscopic, whereas the bacteria is, you can observe with the high contrast, high resolution microscope. It is acellular, it is a unicellular, that is a bacteria. Viruses generally they contain either DNA or RNA, but the bacteria contain both RNA and DNA as genetic material. So virus is a true parasite, whereas the bacteria is a saprophytic, or you can say some of them are the photosynthetic in origin also. Viruses they cannot multiply outside the host body because we know when we talk about the virus, it is a general term that virus when present outside the host it is inactive, but when it enter the host it become active and start multiplication. So what about bacteria? Bacteria can multiply inside and outside both host body or without host body also. Some of the common viruses you include this here as a coronavirus, measles, influenza, coughing, and HIV virus, of course. In the bacterial, there are number of diseases. Bacteria cause number of diseases in humans like dysentery, cholera, tetanus, etc. So let's talk about the morphology of the virus. The virus contain an extracellular infectious viral particle called viron. So this is very important. So as we have covered, they cannot be seen under light microscope. Hence, they are known as the ultra microscopy. They have different size ranges which vary from 20 to 300 nanometer. You can observe the size is very small. For example, some of the size is given like pox virus 300 nanometer. So if we talk about the shape of the virus, the overall shape of the virus particles varies in different group of viruses. Just see here, for example, pox virus, they are of brick shaped, whereas the rabies virus are of bullet shape. And we know very common virus, that is a plant that cause infection in plant, that is a TMV, tobacco mosaic virus, is a road shape. So here you can say the different shapes of the viruses, like this adenovirus, bacteriophages, pyrone is there, then there's bacteriophage is there, and E. coli, this is Ebola virus. Here you can see this is the pox virus, okay, brick shaped virus. This is the rabies virus, that is the bullet shaped virus. So let's talk about the structure and the chemical composition of the viruses. The very important constituent is the viral capsid. So viruses consist of a nucleic acid core which is surrounded by a protein known as the capsid. Just see here, this is the nucleic acid core and which is surrounded by this ring, okay, like a benzene ring, okay, like known as the capsid, made up of small units known as capsomers. And the capsid with the enclosed nucleic acid is known as the nucleocapsid. So this is the envelope. This is basically not present in all virus species, so it may vary, but most of them you can find this capsid and your composition, that is the nucleic acid. So let's talk about the main function of the capsid. It protects the viral genome from physical destruction and enzymatic inactivation by nucleases in biological material. So basically capsid, what is the function of this part? This will protect your nucleic acid of the virus. Okay, so next function, it provides the binding site which enable the virus to attach specific site. So this is very important function of the capsid. So it also provides the binding site. It facilitate, next is it facilitate the assembly and packaging of the viral genetic information. Yes, it also serve as a vehicle of transmission from host to another. So if we talk about the viral symmetry, we can say the virus architecture can be grouped into three types based upon their arrangement of the morphological subunits, as you can see in the image also. So first is the icosahedral. So icosa generally mean 20, okay, in Greek. So it is a polygon with 12 vertices of corner and 20 facets or sides, just like this. Look at this. This is the icosahedral. And we have an example also, that is adenoviruses. Next is the helical symmetry. Some of the viruses are arranged in this shape. Okay, the nucleic acid and the capsomeres were wound together in the form of helix, just like this. Just like influenza virus, rabies virus. Next one is the complex symmetry. So some of the viruses which do not show either icosahedral or the helical symmetry, they are show the complex symmetry. For example, your pox virus. Third thing we are talking about is the viral envelope. So virons may be enveloped or non-enveloped. Sometimes it is the enveloped, then the envelope, or you can say the outer covering of the virus containing lipid, which is derived from the plasma membrane of the host cell during the release by budding from the cell. And this envelope is the glycoprotein in nature. For example, herpes virus, hepatitis B virus, and the HIV virus. Just see this. This is HIV virus structure, and this here is the HIV envelope is there. Okay. Next is the non-enveloped virus. They are the viruses do not have any outer covering. Next important component is the papillomers. So what are these papillomers? In some mature virus particles, you can find the glycoprotein. They often appears as a projecting spikes on the outer surface of the envelope, which are known as the papillomers. These are very important structure. And a virus may have more than one type of papillomers. For example, influenza virus, two type of papillomers they are having. You see this image? This is part is the papillomer, that is the membrane glycoprotein. This is the papillomer. Just see this image. So there are different symmetry of the viruses. In this you can find your papillomer at this point. This is your papillomer, and this is in the enveloped icosahedral type, and you can find here also, that is your papillomer. So I think you have a brief idea now. So let's talk about the function of the papillomers. It helps for the attachment of the virus to the host. It attaches to receptor on the RBCs, causing these to agglutinate. So this is the reference I am using. See you in the part 2 video. I welcome you all in the part 2 video of pharmaceutical microbiology, and we are covering the viruses part. So let's start. So far we have covered the different type of morphology of viruses. We have covered the definition, the properties, the difference between the bacteria and the virus. Yes, the morphology. And in morphology we have covered the virus capsid. Okay, this is the capsid part, virus, viral capsid. Second is the, and we know the function of the capsid also. Then the viral symmetry, there are different type of symmetrical arrangement like icosahedral type, helical, or you can say the complex symmetry. Then we have covered the viral envelop, that is enveloped virus or the non-enveloped virus, and we have also covered the papillomer part. So as you can see, this is the human influenza virus. So you can find here different parts. This is the capsid part. You can find here, this is the capsid part and this is the envelope part. Okay, and here you can find different spikes, like this is the H spike present in this human influenza virus, and this is the N spike present in this virus. And we have covered in the influenza virus, they have more than one type of papillomers. So what is these? These are nothing. These are the papillomers of this influenza virus. So let's talk about the nucleic acids. So we know virus contain a single kind of nucleic acid, either RNA or DNA, which encodes the genetic information which is necessary for its application. Okay, next is the genome may be single stranded or double stranded, may be circular or linear. It will depend upon the different type of viruses. And according to the nucleic acid present, viruses can be classified into DNA virus and RNA virus. If the virus contains DNA as a genetic material, it is known as the DNA virus. And if a virus contains RNA as a genetic material, they are known as the RNA viruses. So let's talk about the classification of viruses. So what happened? Basically, viruses, they do not obey the biological taxonomical classification, okay, that we generally follow. So their classification is based upon different systems. Like the classical system is there, in which animal, plant and bacterial viruses are included. And genomic system, this is very important, that is the Baltimore classification of the viruses. This is very important. Then there is another classification based upon the serological concept. So we will take into consideration each of them in detail. So there is a classification, that is the LHT system of the classification, and mostly this system of classification is based upon the chemical and the physical character of the viruses, like DNA or RNA. It also takes into consideration the symmetry and the presence of envelope. Just see here. So as per this classification, you can also classify viruses into like naked virus and the enveloped virus. You can see here, this is the envelope that is virus is having in this case, whereas there is no envelope is present in this kind of virus. Next one is the Baltimore classification. It was given by David Baltimore, and he classified basically viruses into families depending upon the type of the genome and of the replication. That is, in first group, he has classified viruses as a double-stranded DNA. Second group, single-stranded DNA. Third group, double-stranded RNA. And group 4 and 5, that is a single-stranded RNA viruses. In group 6, there is a positive sense single-stranded RNA virus, whereas in group 7, there are double-stranded DNA viruses that replicate through a single strand. Here you can see, here you will clear all your doubts now. As per Baltimore classification, there are 7 classifications. First is the double-stranded DNA. Example include herp virus and the pox virus. Second is the, yes, it is a DNA genome, but it is a single-stranded. Third one is the double-stranded RNA. It includes the reovirus. Fourth one is the single-stranded RNA. It includes the poliovirus. Next, fifth one is the single-stranded RNA minus sense, which include influenza virus and the rabies virus. Don't worry, we will cover that also. Next, sixth classification is the single-stranded RNA genome that replicated with the DNA intermediate. It includes retrovirus. And the last, double-stranded DNA genome that replicate with the RNA intermediate. It is the hepatitis B virus. So if we talk about the double-stranded DNA viruses classification, you will see here, this type of virus usually enter the host nucleus before it is able to replicate. Okay, and it is highly dependent upon the cell cycle. Example include your adenoviridae and herpesviridae. In group 2, you have a single-stranded DNA viruses which include the microviridae that will infect prokaryotes, whereas there is a Geminiviridae or Nanoviridae which infect plants. So third one is the double-stranded RNA viruses as they contain RNA. So this particular class of viruses replicate in the cytoplasm. Then you have group 4 or group 5 which is the single-stranded RNA viruses that belongs to the group 4 or 5. So what is this positive sense or negative sense meaning? It is very simple actually. You can see here the positive sense RNA viruses, and indeed maximum of all RNA viruses defined as positive sense if they can be directly assessed by host ribosomes to immediately form protein. So they can be immediately positive sensed by the host ribosome so that it form protein. Whereas in the negative sense RNA, the negative sense RNA viruses, indeed all the genes defined as the negative sense cannot be directly assessed by the host ribosome to immediately form protein. Okay. So what happened? They must be transcribed by the viral polymerase into readable form and then it can be sensed. Okay. So I hope this is clear. Positive sense means they are directly sensed by the host ribosome, whereas the negative sense they do not directly sensed by the or assessed by the host ribosome. Next, group 6 classification is the positive sense single-stranded RNA viruses that replicate through a DNA intermediate. This is important, which includes retroviruses, that is the HIV. So, what is the HIV virus? It is a positive sense single-stranded RNA virus that replicate through a DNA intermediate. Means HIV virus is also known as the reverse transcriptase virus. So I hope you know about the process of the transcription translation. I know, just to recall a bit. So DNA to RNA to protein. Okay, that is transcription, DNA to RNA. But in sometimes what happen in reverse transcription, if you see here, there is a process known as a central dogma, that is from DNA to RNA to protein synthesis. And this process, that is from conversion of the DNA to RNA, is known as a transcription, whereas the RNA to the protein is known as a translation. But sometimes what happen, it is reverse. For example, from RNA to DNA, by the replication it is known as the reverse transcription. So the next type is a double-stranded DNA viruses that replicate through a single-stranded RNA intermediate, which include the most important virus, that is the hepatitis B virus. So what is hepatitis B virus? Yes, it is a double-stranded DNA virus, but it replicates through a single-stranded RNA intermediate. So what happens in this? The RNA serve as a viral reverse transcriptase for the production of DNA. So next classification is given by the Holmes in 1948. It is divided into 3 categories. So this classification is very simple. When the virus attack bacteria, they are classified into group 1 as the Phaginae. Secondly, when it attack plants, it is known as the Phytophagnae, and when it attack animal, it is known as the Zoophagnae. So this one is based upon the genetic material. So now we have a DNA and the RNA viruses. So DNA virus again classified into double-stranded, single-stranded, and the complex. In the double-stranded we have enveloped and non-enveloped, whereas in single-stranded we have enveloped, and in complex we have non-enveloped. So these are the examples. So in the RNA again we have a single-stranded positive, single-stranded negative, and the double-stranded RNA. So in the single-strand positive we have enveloped and non-enveloped. In the single-strand negative we have only enveloped. In the double-stranded you have non-enveloped. So you have to recall all this information and you have to memorize that. So these are the references I have used. So I acknowledge all the sources I have used to prepare this video. Don't share this video in any platform. So see you in the part 3 video. Do watch the part 3. Thank you. I welcome you all in the part 3 video of the viruses. So in this video tutorial we are going to see the virus multiplication step. So it involves the various multiplication steps, like first of all attachment is there, penetration, uncoating, biosynthesis, maturation, and the release. So these are very simple. Just go with me in this video. Absorption, you can say the adsorption or the attachment. First step, I will show you the diagram first. So yes, the first step would be suppose this is a virus, suppose this is your cell, any cell, and here is your virus. Wait a second. So just me highlight a bit. So again, this is your virus, and I hope you know all the structures now. This is genetic material present. What happened? First step is to adsorption, or that you can say the attachment is there. Then it will attach in this way, it will enter. Then there is a process known as uncoating. DNA is released from the genetic material, okay, and then this DNA will enter inside this nucleus of the particular cell, and then it will start replicating, okay, it will start assembling, and then it will again bind through the get released. So this is the basically the procedure involved in the viral multiplication. So just first step is the attachment. The attachment is a specific and it is mediated by binding of the virion surface structure known as ligand to the receptor of the cell surface. So just watch here, this is your, suppose this is your cell, and cell have a particular type of receptors, and this is your virus, okay, and we know virus has also different type of receptor too. We have a virion particle over here, virion, and how it will act in this way. Just read this line again and you will clear all your doubts. Attachment is a specific and is mediated by binding of the virion surface structure known as the ligands to the receptor of the cell surface. Now first is the attachment. After attachment there is a very important step, that is the penetration. After binding the virus particle, the virus particles taken up inside the cell, and what happen? It occur by a system mediated, or you can say system receptor mediated endocytosis. So I hope you know this term, that is endocytosis. So just see here, endocytosis is a cellular process in which substances are brought into the cell. So you are at this point, first is attachment, okay, then penetration is done through endocytosis. Next critical step is the uncoating. So it is the process of stripping the virus of its outer layer and the capsid so that nucleic acid is released into the cell. See this. This is the uncoating. So release of this capsid layer so that genetic material get released. So next critical step is the biosynthesis. So it involves the synthesis of what? Of viral nucleic acid and the capsid protein, but also for the some of the enzyme necessary in the various stages of the viral synthesis. So here it is. First of all, first step is attachment, then penetration, then uncoating, and then synthesis is happening here. Okay, this virus will again form this capsid, whole structure will again form in this replication process. Then there is a stage known as the maturation stage. What is involved? It involves the assembly of the various viral components into virions, and it can take place either in the nucleus or in the cytoplasm. So we can say that they assembled all the virus or the virion particles, they are assembled in their cytoplasm. So first see this meaning of virion, because I hope you know the meaning of virion, but let's recall a bit. So it is nothing but it is a structural unit of the virus. A virion is a complete functional virus that has a capacity to infect the living tissue. Okay. So viruses can be found either inside a cell or intracellular, or outside a cell we can say extracellular. But if it is found extracellular, then the virus is known as the virion. Okay, and this virion contains the protein coating that is known as capsid, which surrounds the core of the virus containing the nucleic acid, that is either RNA or DNA. Now the last step will be the release. So viruses can be released from the cell. After lysis, they will break the cell and cause the exocytosis. So they are released in this way. Okay, so I hope this is clear now. So this is the diagram which shows there are two type of viruses are shown here. First is this enveloped type DNA virus, and second is the non-enveloped type RNA virus. All the steps will be the same. Just see this non-enveloped type RNA virus. It contains no envelope. So first of all attachment, then penetration, Again it will start uncoating is there, then replication, assembly, and then release. In the same way, this also works by that is enveloped DNA virus, but it enters into the nucleus part. So let's watch this video. First of all, I'm again a bit. Okay, so virus entering into this particular receptor which are having in our host cell. So first step is the attachment here. Okay, after attachment it will get enter, and then replication, biosynthesis, and it will get assembled, and again that it will get released out. So in this way the virus will take over the host cell. Okay, and it will get enter. So I hope now you have an idea about the viral multiplication, or you can see the viral replication inside the host cell. So this is give you an overview about the virus multiplication step, and we know there are different type of viruses now, and they act almost in the same manner, but they have different procedures, or you can say they adopt different methods. But these 6 steps will remain the same. That is the attachment, penetration, uncoating, biosynthesis, maturation, and release. You can see here attachment, then penetration inside, uncoating, then replication, it will get assembled, okay, and it will get released. So these are the references I have used for preparation of this video, and I acknowledge all the sources I have used to prepare this video. So do not share this video in any other electronic platform. Okay, it is strictly prohibited. So thank you for your patience and listening. See you in the next video. I welcome you all in the next video tutorial of the virus. So in this video tutorial we are going to see again an overview of the whole of the topics that we have completed in the previous video by using this video from the channel, that is Osmosis. So I recommend you to watch this video by going through this channel, and you will get all your doubts get cleared. So viruses, they are simple, as I covered, they are acellular and have distinct pattern of multiplication. Yet they are simple, but they are causing number of diseases in human. Even during this period of, can say, corona period or COVID period, we see number of deaths in all over the world, and we are still not able to control this virus in the proper condition. And even during this month, that is September, we have almost completed this month also, their number of deaths are day by day are increasing. So they have no cytoplasmic membrane, they do not contain cytosol or any functional organelles, and there are some viruses that can infect bacteria, and they are known as the bacteriophages. Generally these viruses and bacteriophages, they do not have any capability, you can say, as ability for any metabolic activity. So what they happen, they can invade other host organism, they can attack the immune system, or you can say the particular cell of the host organism, and they will start multiplication. They are using their metabolic machinery for their own benefit, and ultimately they lead to their own growth. Means from single virus there are multiple thousands of copies of virus are produced. Virus can exist in both the stages, like intracellular or extracellular. And remember this thing, when the virus, you can say, it is present extracellularly, it is known as the virome, and this virome cannot able to reproduce anything. So when we talk about the structure of the virome, it consists of this protein core known as the capsid. Beneath that we have a nucleic acid core, and in combination they are known as the nucleocapsid. And we know this is our viral genome, either DNA or RNA. Some membranes, we know we have covered there are different type of viruses actually. So they are non-enveloped like naked virus, but some of them have enveloped also. This is the phospholipid membrane envelope. Though these are the enveloped viruses, and the examples of the enveloped viruses include HIV and herpes. And the second class is the naked virus, that is they do not contain any envelope, they are devoid of any envelope. Example include poliovirus. So see this, when this virus get enter inside the cell, what happen, this capsid layer is removed, or you can say if they contain the envelope layer is removed, and we have already covered different stages of the virus, like first of all attachment is there, then penetration is there. Okay, just see here, this is the replication process of the bacteriophage. This is special type of bacteriophage. This is T bacteriophage basically. Attachment, entry, replication, assembly, and then release. So this is the whole 5 stages, you can say in this case 5 stages of the bacteriophage. And what happened in this case, this virus, it will force the host cell to synthesize his protein, his nucleic material, and in this way different type of copies of the same virus will be produced inside the host, and finally it will get released. And of course we know the function of this capsid layer. It will protect its virus genome, that is genetic material, as well as it aids in the transfer between host. And we have also covered, based upon this capsid symmetry, they are classified, this capsid symmetry is 3 types. Okay, this symmetry is classified as 3 types: the helical, icosahedral, and the complex. We know in the case of helical, this is a helical like arrangement in which a disc shape is arranged and nucleic acid are inside this cavity, you can say. Next, icosahedral, we have already covered the shape, and then bacteriophages are example of this complex type. So here is a differentiation between how the DNA virus act and the RNA virus act. We know DNA virus can directly enter into the cell nucleus, okay, whereas RNA virus can work in the cytoplasm. And there are different type of genetic material, maybe single stranded, double stranded, linear, or even circular also in the virus. So I think now you have a brief idea about although we have covered the virus part. So I once again acknowledge this channel, and I request you to watch this video. In the last you will clear all your doubts, and this is my acknowledgement. I respectfully acknowledge this channel for making this knowledgeable video. So thank you for your time. See you in the next lecture. I welcome you all in the next video tutorial of the virus series. And in this video tutorial we are going to see the cultivation of viruses, and for this I am using a website, that is the microbenotes.com, and I found these notes very valuable, and it comprises of the very good quality images which are well understood. As you can see, this is very good quality of the photograph that is included in this website. It is very much easier for us to understand this concept from this website. So let's start. So first of all, I acknowledge this website, that I am using this website as a reading material. Don't worry, I will also provide you the notes of a book regarding this chapter, that is the viruses. So let's start the cultivation of the viruses. So first of all, the purposes and the methods. But why there is need to cultivate virus? And some people also assume that this coronavirus is leaked from Wuhan lab, that is the Wuhan Virology Institute in China. So not all of us are able to cultivate this virus. This virus cultivation needs specialized laboratory. Each and everything should be as per the SOP. And yes, a specialized degree in a particular requisite field is also a mandatory requirement if you are interested in working on the viruses. So let's start. The primary purpose of the virus cultivation is, yes, सबसे पहले, first of all, to prepare vaccine production. So we have to cultivate the virus for the production of vaccines. Next is to do research in the viral structure, replication, genetics, and effects on the host cell. This research is currently going on the COVID virus. Next, to isolate and identify viruses in clinical sample. Okay, particular diagnostic of a viral disease. So next is most of the viruses can be cultivated in. So viruses can be cultivated in animals, then embryonated eggs, or you can say the tissue culture. As you can see this image, the viruses are cultivated in animals also. This is the animal. We have taken the rat and mice in the laboratory. and this is the, yes, embryonated egg. So let's start. First of all, let's do this animal inoculation. So this is the animal we are using. So mouse is the most frequently used animal for the isolation of viruses. And apart from this mouse, we can also use rabbit, hamsters, or the suckling rodents. So second is the inoculation route. So first of all, the intracerebral route, okay, intracerebral route. Second is the subcutaneous, intraperitoneal, intranasal. So these are the various routes for the inoculation of the virus. So as you can see this image, this is the intracranial or the cerebral route. This is subcutaneous route. So by this route we can inject virus into the animal. Then what happened? See, next thing, after inoculation the animal was observed for sign of disease or death. The animal will ultimately die. Then what happened? We have to immediately process on this died animal. The infected animals are then sacrificed. If the animal is infected, then it should be subjected to the sacrifice. So this process is very, very important. We have to follow all the ethical rules. We have to sacrifice the animal so that it will not give any pain to the animal. Okay, so painless death should be given to the animal. And the infected tissues are examined for the presence of viruses by various tests. So first of all, what happened? We will inject a virus, and the animal will be sacrificed, and then we will use the infected tissue for the examination of a particular virus. Now the second technique is the embryonated eggs. So we will use different embryonated chick egg for the cultivation of the viruses, and this method was developed in 1931 by Goodpasture, and it was further developed by the scientist, very renowned scientist, Brunert. So let's see this image. First of all, see this image. So this is the different parts of the embryonated eggs. So first of all, what happened? Usually we'll take 8 to 11 days old chick eggs are used for the culture of these viruses. See here, there are some terms used. You don't have to be confused in the embryonated egg term. That is, embryonated eggs mean having an embryo. Unembryonated means not having an embryo. And de-embryonated means having embryo lost. So the embryonated egg referring to an advanced stage of development and not merely after fertilization. So it is an advanced stage of the development. So see the advantages of using this embryonated egg. So an embryo is an early development stage of animals which is marked by rapid differentiation of the cells. So yes, there are different routes for inoculation into this embryonated eggs, and there are different routes like yolk sac, amniotic cavity, amniotic cavity, and of course chorioamniotic membrane, that is CAM. See this one by one. This is the yolk sac inoculation. We will inject virus over here. This is the yolk sac inoculation. Second one is the amniotic cavity. This is the amniotic cavity. This part is the amniotic cavity inoculation. Third is the amniotic cavity. So this is the amniotic. I think you have heard about this amniotic fluid also. Okay. So this is the amniotic inoculation of the virus. And the most important is the CAM, that is the chorioamniotic membrane over here. Look at this chorioamniotic membrane inoculation over here, over the membrane. So these are the various sites for the, or can say the routes for the viral inoculation. So see this image, you will clear again. This is the yolk sac inoculation, again amniotic, amniotic, and again CAM. So this is the structure of your embryonated egg. It consists of this yolk sac, the main component, and this is the amniotic cavity, and this one is the amniotic cavity. Okay, and upper layer, this is shell, this is sac, and this is the albumin portion. So this is very simple structure of the embryonated egg. As you can see this image, so this image represents the site of various viruses. For example, if we have to culture this influenza virus, so where we have to grow this virus? Yes, in the allenotic inoculation, allenotic cavity, if we have to grow herpes virus, so which is the site? Yolk sac. If we have to grow the mumps virus, amniotic inoculation is preferred. So next method is the tissue culture. Yes, it is the most widely used diagnostic virology method for the cultivation and assay of viruses. It was first used in 1913, and in this different type of tissues are used to grow viruses. So the next culture method is the organ culture. So this was used earlier for the isolation of some viruses. Just see an example, coronavirus, because it was isolated in the tracheal ring organ culture. So it is very much grown in the organ culture. And we know the site of the coronavirus is our lungs. And what is happening in this method? Small bits of the organs are maintained in vitro for several days. I hope you remember about this in vitro. In vitro means in a test tube. In vivo means in a living thing. And in situ means in a particular situation. Next is the cell culture. It is widely used for growing viruses. As you can see in this image, suppose this is a lung tissue. From this tissue we have isolated cells. Okay, and we have now after that we will culture these cells. Type of the cell culture include the primary cell culture, diploid cell culture, and the continuous cell lines. So in the primary cell culture, these are the normal cells freshly taken from the animal or the human body, and they are widely used for the isolation of viruses and the production of vaccines. In the diploid cell culture, we can take the diploid cells which contain same number of chromosomes as the parent cells, and this is very important. Continuous cell lines, so these are derived from the cancer cells. Example of cell lines include HeLa, that is the human carcinoma of the cervix cell line. Now see this image again. So this is the normal tissue, lung tissue. We have taken the cell, but in this we have isolated cells from this cell line, that is the having a tumor. So this is the continuous cell line. These are the reference. I welcome you all in the next video tutorial of the viruses. So in this video tutorial we are going to see again, as we have completed the cultivation part, cultivation of the viruses in different types, which include cultivation of viruses in the animals or in the embryonated eggs and the tissue culture. So I request you to watch the previous video. We have covered this part, there is a animal inoculation. Different routes are preferred, that is intracranial, subcutaneous, etc. Then we have covered this embryonated egg. So particularly in this video, we will focus upon a video demonstration. So first of all, I acknowledge this channel for making this useful video, and in this video, a demonstration of the viral cultivation in chicken embryo has been demonstrated. So just watch this video with me. So let's start. So yes, we have to take an egg, and we will, what we will do, we will again just cut this egg in such a way that will take out the embryo part, and after that we have to follow some strict protocol, and we have to inject our virus in different sites. I hope you remember about the different sites. So let me pause a bit. You can watch the different sites for inoculation of virus in a particular embryonated cell. Cam, amniotic cavity, alveolar cavity, and the yolk sac. Let me fast this video a bit. As you can see, so what happened? So in this way we will do the cutting of this egg after the gentle heating, or the consider mild heating, so that it will become soften. Just watch this carefully. Okay, he has removed the outer layer of this egg. Now inside this there is an embryonated egg, so we have to do special care should be taken while handling this type of procedure, because it at any stage you will get your sample spoiled. So just see this. So this is the embryonated stage. Okay, so I hope now you have a brief idea about this embryonated stage. So this is the reference of this YouTube video that I have shown you. Lastly, I acknowledge all the sources I have used to prepare the entire videos related to these viruses. So thank you for your patience and listening. See you in the next lecture. I welcome you all in the last video tutorial related to the viruses. So in this video tutorial, we are going to discuss this topic, that is the viruses, from a book, that is the Prescott, Harley and Clance. So I have shared this, I have made a PDF for you of this book because I found this book very important, and because it gives very colored pictures also for the better clarity and the better understanding. That's why I am sharing the notes with you from this book. So as you can see, so first of all, the introduction is given. So viruses are we have already covered this point in the videos, that is as simple as cellular entities, and they can reproduce only within a living system. Okay, because they are obligate intracellular parasites, because we have covered this point. The virion is actively, they are present intracellularly or extracellularly also. Okay, so now we have covered this. They have a genetic material, either DNA or RNA. It may be single-stranded, double-stranded, linear or circular, depending upon the type of the virus. Yes, they have a capsid, they have a particular structure which have a particular symmetry, helical, complex and icosahedral. So I request you to watch the videos again and then watch this video. So next, if we talk about the structure, or you can say the envelope of the virus, general properties of the virus, which includes the enveloped. So there are two types, enveloped and naked, or the non-enveloped viruses. So the simplest virus is the naked virus. This one is the nucleocapsid containing a geometric capsid, whereas in this that is the enveloped virus, it is composed of the nucleocapsid which is surrounded by the flexible membrane known as the envelope. So this is the special feature of this enveloped virus. Now here you can see different types of viruses are given. So this is the bacteriophage. This is the T bacteriophage, very important. So again, influenza virus is there, adenovirus is there, herpes virus, vaccinia virus. So this is about the symmetry. This is the example of the tobacco mosaic virus, which has a helical capsid. So again, these are another example of the influenza virus. So here is the diagram of the T phage, bacteriophage is given. So you can see these are this look like a tails. So yes, these are the tails. You can see the tail fiber. This is your genetic material, and we know it is enclosed inside this capsid head. Okay, this is the collar, this is a sheath, and this is the base plate. This one, this rounded portion. So this is what it looked like in the microscope also. Just see this shape of this bacteriophage. If we talk about the different type of nucleic acid present, so we know it has a DNA which may be single-stranded, that be linear or single-stranded DNA. Example is the parvoviruses. Double-stranded also, that is the linear or double-stranded. Example is the herpes virus. If it contain RNA, so RNA may be single-stranded, which is linear single-stranded positive strand, or the linear single-stranded next strand RNA. So these are the examples I have given in this book, and we have covered this topic in the videos. So I request you to watch the videos. So as far as the reproduction, you can say the replication is concerned, we know first of all attachment, then the penetration, then it will start attachment, then the penetration, synthesis of the viral proteins and the nucleic acid. It will use the host cells to form its own proteins, that is the viral protein, then assembly of the virions and the release of these virions into the host cells, the host blood stream. Okay, so we have completed this point. So again, this is about the cultivation. We have just completed this. There are different cultivation. This is the example of the embryonated eggs. So we have different cultivation sites for this egg. That is the amniotic cavity. Then cam is there, amniotic cavity is there. So I request you to go by these notes. I have attached the PDF of this in the drive also. So thank you for your patience and listening. See you in the next lecture.